Previously on.
Imagination. Imagination.
Your interview.
Welcome to fucking Deadwood!
As you can see, we're changing the visual aspects of the show, and furthermore, the concepts. Initially, the idea of this show was to host guests who would interview themselves. I do still plan on hosting guests in the future. For now, we are revamping our visuals with newer equipment and even more solid topics. This evening, we will have a video call with a special guest. Welcome to your interview. Today, we're talking about mental health, something that affects all of us and still carries a lot of stigma. My guest today is myself, Deafwood. I'm a recording artist, a DJ, and I'm trying to open up about my mental health in my music, my personal life, and my content. Mental health is a real conversation we need to have, so I'm glad we're doing this. A lot of people struggle with their mental health but don't reach out for help. Why do you think that is? It's a mix of things. Stigma is a big one. Nobody wants to feel judged or weak. And in certain environments, especially in music, nightlife, athleticism, the gym, everyday life, there's this pressure to always be on, always be great. Another thing is people don't always recognize their struggles as something they can get help for. They just think this is how life is. Yeah, like people just push through instead of dealing with it. How do we change that mindset? We gotta talk about it more. The more we normalize mental health conversations, the less power stigma has. I put a lot of my own struggles into my music, and I think when artists, athletes, and just everyday people open up about what they go through, it helps others feel not alone. What are some signs that someone should check in with their mental health? It's different for everybody, but some big ones are changes in mood, losing interest, things you used to enjoy, just feeling stuck all the time. For me, I noticed I was always drained, like mentally and physically, simple stuff, texting people back. I honestly feel like I've destroyed any meaningful connections with everyone. You know, leaving the house felt like too much fucking effort. That's when I knew I had to stop ignoring it. And what about people who seem fine on the outside? That's tricky. A lot of people get really good at masking their struggles. High achievers, creatives, even funny friends in the group. They could be dealing with heavy stuff, but you'd never know. That's why it's so important to check in on your people, even if they seem good. Right? A touchy one is suicide. The attention from being suicidal could be considered a cry for help. However, I know my own friends who seemed fine and tragically took their own life seemingly in the face of being happy. Right. Some contemplate suicide, not as a serious thought to harm yourself, but to imagine the trauma that can't touch you anymore and the eternal rest you'll get. Many people aren't capable of hurting themselves, but the ever-frequent thought of suicide is a dangerous thing, making you closer to the actual act of harming yourself than you think. The stigma is crippling. I will say this show actually is therapeutic for myself. And yes, it's hard to find a trustworthy individual sometimes to dump your trauma to. I find it hard to express my darkness to the people closest to me. I really don't want them to worry or see my weakness. I almost feel like it's an algebraic equation to find a solution to express your pain and trauma. The trauma can span long before you're born. Like father issues, fear during pregnancy is transferable. Fear lingers for extended amounts of time, and most people don't understand that. They were born into this world with fear composing their genetics. The trauma is literally in our DNA. How do we recognize this? If it were for me, my most crucial trauma is abandonment. It is awfully hard to express your love in a connection when you are uncertain if the person you're connected to would leave without an explanation. This form of abandonment is entirely detrimental to self-esteem and confidence. Also, love and happiness. I'm sure people could relate that trauma and distrust spans before birth. Like people like me's. Our father left the day we were born, and the fear from, our mothers, and the anger from them and the surroundings and the family branded itself into our genes. I didn't understand my fear and anger until recently. Abandonment is my kryptonite. This fear carries over into my relationships today. Constant fear of being left and not given the opportunity to speak or an explanation to why they want to desert me is fucking awful. It's a hard thing to cope with. But also, at the same time, this generation is trapped by hyper-gratification, and if you can't provide exactly what the person you're connected to thinks they require, they will leave without an explanation. If it wasn't for this microphone, I could have easily been a dead man a long time ago. I've utilized recording art for more than just my own clout. For years, it's been my own form of expression. My lyrics are composites of various topics from feelings to experiences in my life. It is tremendous how much it helps therapeutically. Also, you get a badass jam to listen back on later in life. That's deep. That is deep. And I also find it therapeutic to do this. And obviously we're the same person, but this is something that needs to be done, to talk about. And like you said, recording art is something that you feel is therapeutic. It's almost like talking to a therapist or a counselor. The microphone is a beautiful thing. I agree. The next segment, we are going to have a video call with a good friend of mine, also a recording artist. His name is Damon. Like I said before, we're gonna have a guest on the show, featured in a video call. It'll be the first guest, actually, besides myself. I love you to death, Deathwood, but we finally have a guest. Yeah, I'd high five you, but maybe we can digitally add it in there. Okay, Damon, how are we doing today?
What's up, bud? How are you doing?
Long time, no talk. Long time. Good to see you. Where you at? Where you at these days?
Right now, California, baby, sunshine and
No fires?
oh, there's some fires right over the hill. I'm looking at them actually right now. Not too good. We're getting rattlesnakes coming up because of damn fires, and they're everywhere.
Bears, lions, tigers, bears.
There was a bear in my backyard the other day.
What? We need footage.
That's true. I'll try to get you some. So yeah, what's going on with you? How's the show?
Show's great. Show is good. We're getting some help. We're getting some people involved, and I think we're gonna get the ball rolling. You know, today is the first episode where we use new equipment, make it a little more solid on the visual end, and make our topics a little more solid too. I've just kind of been poking fun at myself recently. But, you know, now that we have a serious conversation and a serious guest, I think people will be more attracted to this show.
Serious. All right, sounds serious, man. Let's go. What's the topic?
Well,
Mental health.
mental health is our topic today.
Ooh. All right, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, I know you're in. We talked about it. You had brought up a really good point. Me and Deathwood were talking earlier about some of the things, the stigma behind mental health and stuff, but I think there are some activities or things that could make it more enjoyable to think about and converse. You brought it to my attention about maybe rating your mental health on a daily basis.
That I did. Yeah, that's, I mean, I do it, not as much as I should, but what, you know, if I were to ask you, if this was your interview, what's your rating for today?
Well, good question.
I
7.
mean, you have a show where you're talking to yourself. I can't imagine it'd be that fucking great.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of the point. Deathwood brought it to our attention that it is quite therapeutic. Even though sometimes it's great to talk to a therapist, I always say if you're not good at talking to yourself, you wouldn't make a good method actor. But yeah, Deathwood said it's therapeutic. I would assume it's also therapeutic for myself as well.
Right.
Try it
All right.
sometime.
I tried it. Believe me, I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to you.
Heard. Yeah, well, we're one and the same, buddy. We go back. Anyway, what about your rating? How are you rating the day?
Today, I'm sitting at about a 7.
7.
I'd probably give 7 out of 10.
Okay, yeah.
And that's because I, you know, a lot of days you go through times where you're just fucking stressed out, man. Life gets to you, and you know, and sometimes if you keep rating yourself at maybe a 5, and you notice how many more 5s come into play. Lately, I've been trying to push for 8s, 9s, and once you push for them, they actually appear, and you start actually seeing what an 8-9 day could be like. Maybe a 10 sometimes. 10's a good fucking day. 10's a supermodel.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You know, I would like to have the perspective of another viewer who just joined the channel and watching because they would think we're talking about women. Oh, you know, today, I was 5s the last few days, but today I'm a 9 and a 10. We've been hitting 10s all day. No, good point though.
No, not like that. But I mean, if you get a 10 in a day, in one day, it's probably a 10 day, you know, for mental health rating.
It's a damn good day. Well, yeah, I would put my mental health at a 7 today, right? Definitely about perfect.
Yeah.
Also, I think when you said, you know, when you're at a 5 and stuff and you see that continually, I think when you said to rate your mental health, what would make it more enjoyable is that if you see where it's at and you can, you know, point to a number, you know, something that makes it malleable, that you can turn it around and, you know, make it increase, make a better day out of it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like facing
You have
music.
more control over it if you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, any information is good information to have, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. As long as you're in charge of the rating system, you know, as long as somebody else doesn't determine what you feel about yourself, then you're doing okay. Even if you have a 4 day, you know, you have a 3, you have a 1 day. As long as you're in charge of that, you can determine whether or not you have a 10 day. You know, it's all about whether you realize it or not either. Whether it's you know, in plain sight or you don't know how you got there. You know, at least you're the one rating it, and you know, you just never let anybody else tell you that you fucking are having a 1 day. You know, fuck you. I'm having a 10 day. What'd you do today, bitch?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps put you in more of control of what you think is controlling your mood, behavior, and, furthermore, your depression. So as long as you're in control of how you feel at the moment and notice, and you can elaborate on why you feel that way, that puts you in more control to cease those feelings, or at least, slow them down and move in a more brighter direction.
Absolutely.
Maybe this episode could be helpful. I think it would be pretty helpful to somebody who's struggling. I would watch it. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch it, editing process and stuff, but I will be sharing this episode, and you as well, Damon. We'll get some people on board. Maybe next time we can have a deeper conversation with more people. But that is, it's an excellent idea to wake up in a day and throughout the day rate how you're feeling. After any event, after maybe feeling good, feeling bad, maybe after smoking some weed, maybe after working out, rate yourself.
I agree. And if you're say your rating goes down after you smoke weed or after you do anything, maybe don't do it in those situations. It's really a grading scale about how to go about your life, feeling at a level that, is acceptable to you, because you're the only one that really matters when it comes down to it.
Right, yeah, absolutely. It can be an intense topic at times, and this is a perfect example of the therapeutic effect that conversations can have, and what I've come to know as connections with people, with friends, relationships, even, my own father, stepfathers, these connections can be turbulent at times, and it's hard to express yourself to the people you think that you trust the most. And like Deathwood had mentioned, sometimes you don't want to let people down or let them worry about you simply because you're kind of showing some signs of weakness. So, like I said before, this show is helping me and myself, but also the conversation needs to be in the open. And I think this is a definite
You said
start.
when you let people down that you don't want to let down. Sometimes it sneaks up on you, man. Sometimes you don't even know you're doing it until somebody puts you in check. And those people they're the ones to keep around, because you got to know when you're making other people feel, the way you don't want them to feel. In a sense, I like those people around, because if they're like, oh, you made me feel like this because you were feeling like this, blah 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 blah. And for the most part in my life, those people have not stuck around, because I go out of control with it for sometimes, and I don't even realize I'm doing it, and it becomes habitual. But only recently, and in the future, I'd like to try the grading system a lot more to see how, did I feel like I was contributing to somebody else's day, and in the sense of that, maybe you are going to attract people that also think that way, and that's just how it works. And
Absolutely, yeah, and that's just it. You can't please everybody, and you can't please everything about or just one individual, including yourself, and so the first person to please is yourself, and just by doing that will go to show the people that will naturally be attracted to you. And so, less maintenance on those relationships, scientifically, but it just makes sense to, put yourself first, and then the relationships will seep in rather than to seek them out, is what I think.
And that's something I've only learned recently. I've been through 20, 30 relationships, and the only good that's ever come of it is that I came out alive in some cases, but in other cases, I always just, I never had that control that I have now by sitting and just thinking, why do I need somebody else in my life that is gonna have to deal with my bullshit? Like, so many people out there, relationships or not, they need to, it works with friends too, but they need to be single. They need to they need to get some time to know themselves. Like, sad as it is to say, most women in this world will never do that. They jump from place to place to feel secure.
I will say this. I've had many male friends who are the same way. I've actually have friends now who haven't been single since before we even met. You know what I'm saying? I've had friends since high school, and I'm 33, who haven't been single for more than a week. And physically.
Right.
And I mean, we've dated the same people. Welcome to a small town, Deadwood. But, you know the show.
And see, I think men are good at it. Men are good at being single, whether they kind of know it or not. But women are, they just aren't. They're thinking of their next move as one domino falls, they're putting another up. And it's savage. It's just the world we live in. But it goes to show that we're all a part of it, you know, whether we want to be or not, and we all have to live with that. So, in turn, we're self-destructive, you know.
Yes, absolutely. That's why, like I said, putting yourself first. One thing that's hard to do is to cope with that people want something other than you. One thing that I've dealt with in many relationships is abandonment and just nothing, like no goodbye or anything. But and these are really good connections, you know what I'm saying? Think like when you look back on them, you can only admire and appreciate the good times you've had rather than feeling alone because you don't know why or how the relationship ended. But at that point, it's to each their own, like I said, and that's why with this show and with the conversation, it helps me to realize who I am and what I want, and that will attract the good, positive people.
Right.
You know, and that's why you're a guest on the show, and we've talked about having a kind of podcast show, and so it will be awesome to have you moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Because you and I are like-minded.
Well, I'm excited,
individuals.
man. I'm excited. I've always wanted to. See what I can put out there, you know, like many others have tried, and see what happens. But, I feel like if you have a helpful heart, you know, you're going to help no matter what. You know, you're not doing that. We're not doing this to talk. We're not talking shit here. We're just talking, you know?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we know where it's going. We know who it's going to reach, and that's it. If it helps, it helps.
Exactly.
So
and one thing that Deathwood mentioned is this isn't for clout. It's, this is, like I say, you'll hear me say the word therapeutic a lot, but I do have a small handful of people that have been watching my content, so it does feel special to me to actually, put this out to people that enjoy it. And so, of course, I want to have more funny fucking content, and we're gonna be all over the map with this stuff. This is just the 3rd episode, so I am super excited of how serious this is getting. To the viewers that are actually active, thank you. This is gonna be so much fun.
I agree. That's the thing too that I've always loved about you. You and I, no matter what it is that we're doing, we're always getting more progressive as we go. And of course, the situations that I've been through, you've been through, have split us up in the past, but we always come back to one another and always become some sort of business, like feel good sort of thing. We made music together, and I've never felt more completed. And then years later, you listen to the shit and you're like, whoa, that's a lot, man.
With you bringing that up, so Damon and I, Deathwood and Damon, or whoever the fuck, have made music together. We've actually pretty much produced an entire album, and I still am in the process of post-production and vocalism and stuff like that. I'd like to get back together with Damon and do this again, or continue the production of it. But part of this show is I kind of got the idea of Beavis and Butthead, where we're gonna review music videos and music and stuff like that as well. Not only just the serious conversations, but we're gonna make it fun. I do have another music video that I've released that we'll be reviewing tonight. But yeah, also I think probably within the next few episodes we're gonna be featuring you and your music too.
Alright. Well, as I said, it sounded a lot better back then.
I know some songs right now. I know some damn good songs right now. And then we can work in conjunction and make a music video and make it happen. Even if you're in California. But I have been talking to a family member of mine of going back to San Diego here soon. And where you at?
I'm in the high desert in California.
Okay.
I am deep.
Yeah, I'm thinking about taking a whole drive along the coastline from north to
I'm
south.
only 50 miles away. I'll see you there.
Sweet. Well, hell yeah. Anyway, continuing the show, do you have anything else?
No. Not unless something sparks. Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Damon?
Thanks.
Deathwood? Yep.
Definitely.
Well, we are going to finish up this segment and we're going to move on to the music part of the show. Thank you, Damon, once again.
Hey, thank you, man.
I will be calling
Look
you.
forward to it.
I will be calling you shortly after we're done filming.
All right, man. Yeah, have a good one. Have a good recording.
Love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
What would you say to anyone watching dealing with their mental health right now? First off, you're not weak. You're not broken. You're human. Struggling doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you're going through something, and that's okay. Find someone to talk to. Whether it's a friend, family member, a professional, or your fucking self. And don't feel like you gotta fix everything overnight. Healing takes time. That's real. Any final thoughts? Just that we all go through it, man. Nobody's alone in this, even if it feels that way. And if you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out. And to everyone watching, check in on yourself. Check in on your people. Let's keep the conversation going about mental health. Next, we're going to review my latest music video. Touch your flame, yeah, I said, babe, can I get your number? Let it rain in the thunder, ooh, just afraid of getting shot down, living on the docks now, Jack Daniels on the rocks now, juggling on the road, silhouetting the red and blues and middle finger to the cops now. I made it to the crossroads though, there goes my soul. See, that's the thing, every word they say is just more ammunition in my magazine. What's the saying? Cock back and unload, get the pressure off your chest and get the weight up off your shoulders. Don't forget it, just remember everything is a heavy thing, babe. What is your name? Yeah, you're so fiery. touch your flame? Yeah, I said, babe, can I get your number? Let it rain in the thunder. If you're struggling with mental health, open up the conversation. There are people out there that will listen. Not everybody is Deafwood. Also, if you have any recommendations on topics or music, please let me know. I will leave my email, also links, wherever they gotta be. Thank you for joining me and myself on this episode of Your Interview. I'd like to take this time to thank viewers and supporters of my content. We have been working hard for years in and out of studios to record some very special songs and other content, as well as creating merchandise and promotional products. I would like to remind viewers of the landing page that takes you to all the links related to Deafwood, my music, content, and merchandise. Stay tuned for the relaunch of my online apparel and merch store, and also find other ways you can donate to Deafwood and associated artists. Once again, thank you to all the viewers and supporters, and
Welcome to fucking Deadwood!